All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to do our daily Bitcoin and Bitcoin miner update. It was a very sideways weekend, but there was a bunch of price action this morning, and Bitcoin had a good day. The Bitcoin miners had a good day. So I want to go through where everything is, where we landed, and whether or not there's any room left in this rally. So as you guys know, we cover Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If you're new to the channel, or if you have not yet subscribed, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also, if everybody could please smash the like button, it helps the channel out a lot, and I really appreciate it. So let's start out with going to the Bitcoin big board. Okay, so you're gonna see this is very, very green. Most of these stocks had a good day. Some of them had a great day. As always, for whatever reason, there's one stock that's an outlier. We had one stock in the red today, one stock that was down, and that was Cypher, down 3.2%. I will say Marathon underperformed 1.83%. However, over the last month plus, Marathon has been far and away the top performer. Iris Energy, stock ticker IREN, was up 14.5%. Hive Blockchain was up just under 10%. Wolf was up 10.4%. So all of those that I just mentioned were 10% or more. There were some other nice moves to the upside in the 4, 5, 6, 7 range. So I'll give you a second to just find any miner you may care about on the board. Okay, so you can see the bottom of this board did a little bit better than the top. And on the bottom are some of the newer stocks, some of the newer listings. The top of this board, which was the more mature companies or the ones that have been listed longer on the NASDAQ, had been kind of out in front, but there was a little bit of catch up today. So let's take a look and see what's going on. I want to show you where all these ended at the end of July and where they're all at right now. Okay, so just to revisit, this was July's activity. So this was the month of July. Marathon was a runaway freight train, up 143% just in the month of July. Riot was up 75%, which is a giant move. Core Scientific was up 68%. These are the three biggest market caps. Those had the three biggest moves. However, you'll see there were a bunch of others in the 50s, so up 50% on the month is pretty fantastic. What I'm going to do is go to a chart and compare this, the month of July, and I'm going to add the month of August to it. This is just 8 days of activity, but you're going to see some massive shifts again already here in just 1 week in August. And really, Bitcoin has been fairly sideways over the course of the last week. So these green bars are the month of July plus the move that they've made through the 8th of August. A few of these that were big laggers. For instance, Iris Energy was only up 19% in July. So already in the first 8 days of August, it's now up a total of 62%. And you'll see Hive was at 51%. Now it's at 58%. Bitfarms was at 30%. Now it's at 51%. So we now have 11 publicly traded Bitcoin miners that in the last 1 month and 1 week are up 50% or more. And you'll see Marathon is now up 170%. Even with all of these big moves, when we look at a few of these in specific, you'll see most of these are still down between 75 and 85% off of their 52-week high. So these are still much closer to their lows than they are their highs. However, these are some huge, huge run-ups in a short period of time. So the one that I still have my eye on, I had called out last week, Iris Energy and GREE I thought were due to make a move. I also called out CleanSpark. CleanSpark went from 2% to 26%. So that was a step in the right direction, but to me, this one is still lagging quite a bit because their performance of their company doesn't seem to be matching the performance of their stock. Okay, so if we look at Bitcoin on a 15-minute time frame, you're going to see that this orange line is where Bitcoin closed on Friday of last week. So when the equity markets closed in the US last week, Bitcoin was at 22,938. And you can see, so as of the middle of the day yesterday, which was Sunday, we were still very close to this line. So it had been a very sideways weekend. Overnight, you can see Bitcoin really took off. This was all through the night last night, and this is now 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the AM. So a big run up overnight last night, and then you can see we held most of that. We did have one big 15-minute red candle, bringing us from the $24,200 area down to the $23,900 area. And you can see after that one candle, so a little bit of downward pressure one time right in the middle of the day, then very sideways the rest of the day. So this big move to the upside, for the most part, held its ground. This was not expected by me. I continued to expect sideways activity until CPI data. So I just want to go through and remind everybody, CPI inflation data comes out at 8:30 in the morning. So it comes out on Wednesday before the US equity markets open, which means tomorrow, Tuesday, is the last trading day for these Bitcoin miners prior to that CPI data. I did think we were going to drift sideways all the way going into that data, but we did take a nice upturn here today. So let's zoom out to the 4-hour time frame, and that's the one, as you guys know, I've really been following most closely in this, what I've been calling a relief rally that I think we're still in the middle of. Okay, so this is on the 4-hour time frame. So this goes all the way back to June 18th, and that was when Bitcoin crashed down to its bottom at around $17,600. I just drew a green arrow right here. We've clearly been in an upward trend. This has been a very, very predictable, steady upward relief rally, in my opinion. And we're going to look at the RSI and the MACD, and as we have been all along, and they've been very, very telling. So this did trade very technically for quite some time. As of right now, it has deviated a little bit, so it's getting harder and harder to tell. But the first thing I want to look at is on the 4-hour time frame. You can see we're clearly, almost a month and a half into just a nice, steady, higher highs and higher lows. So this is a nice, steady relief rally. Okay, so if I pull the RSI in here on the 4-hour time frame, if you can see this yellow arrow was the first leg up on this relief rally. I then cloned this and put one here and put one here. So you'll see it literally did almost the exact same thing 2 more times, running down to oversold and then back to overbought and then back down to oversold and then back up to overbought. Now this next time it ran back down to oversold, I have a green arrow here because this is a much steeper curve. So this got to overbought territory much, much faster than the previous 3 times. That was our new high in this relief rally, and that was on July 30th. So it's now August 8th. We have not yet been back there. So what we did, however, do is go back to fairly neutral on the 4-hour RSI, except this time we did not bottom out and get into oversold territory. We spent the better part of a week going sideways. And then the last 24 to 36 hours, we just went in a straight line up to overbought. I do think if I had to guess looking at this pattern, it looks to me like this is holding on. And we're going to look at a few more things. I think we may bounce around up at the top here for a little bit and take a run at this green line, which was our previous high from a few weeks ago. And then this blue line here at 25,300, that has been my price target since the beginning of this relief rally. So we still have not gotten there. I don't know that we'll get there, but I do think we're in pretty decent shape after this sideways activity. One of the key things is going to be what CPI is on Wednesday. So expectations are a little bit more all over the place this time. I think we need to have a good CPI report. I think we need to see that go down if we want to see this relief rally continue. If that stays at 9.1 or goes up from 9.1, I'm guessing that this relief rally is probably going to be out of steam and we will start to head down and reset ourselves, waiting for the next month's CPI data. Remember, this month there is no Fed meeting. Okay, so on the 1-day time frame, you'll see last week we had all these red candles in a row. On this candle, we actually candle wicked up to that high on July 30th. And by the time we were done, we actually pretty much opened and closed a candle below this yellow line, which is the 200-week moving average for Bitcoin. So again, I'm just going to zoom out a little and show you. We had this long period of time underneath this 200-week moving average. That has never happened before in the history of Bitcoin. We have gone below it 2 other times, but only for a moment. This time we went below it and we bottomed out several times before we started to take a run. This is now the 3rd time we've jumped back above the 200-week moving average over the last several weeks. So we'll see if this one can stick or not. But like I said, we do seem to be having higher lows each time, and this time the lows were just right around the 200-week moving average. So if that can turn into support, which this is very close to doing, so that would be a gigantic signal that this relief rally could last a lot longer, and maybe it's more than a relief rally. I'm not expecting that yet. I think that's premature. I do think we're just going to finish out this relief rally and you know, there's a little more pain to come. If we look at the RSI on the 1-day time frame, we'll see we're still following this arrow up. We have this line of support that we have not come down and touched. So all of this is still fairly positive. However, I want to really zoom in because you'll see back on July 19th, we hit about 61 on the daily RSI. We revisited that and tested it a week later on July 28th and bounced off of it to the downside. We now are basically just about to retest that again. So to me, this is going to be the key answer. If this proves to be resistance again, then we're probably headed back down if we can break through this line. So that's really the number one thing I will be looking at. Can we get above this line and close a daily candle with the RSI above this short-term line of resistance here? This line was above this at some point during the day, but it has pulled back. So we'll see where today closes and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But to me, that's the number one thing I'm going to be looking at. How do we do versus this line of resistance? On the daily MACD, it's also been fairly confusing. You had 1, 2, 3, 4 days with really, these two were in the green, these two were in the red, so technically we did have a bearish crossover, but then we immediately had a bullish crossover, and there were 4 days of virtually no momentum whatsoever. This day does have a little bit of a green candle going on the histogram, but still pretty small, so very indecisive. So that's what the case has been over the course of the last week, and that's why we've had all this sideways activity. So I'm still looking for a breakout. Like I said, we did now have another bullish crossover. This one seems to be taking effect a little bit better this time, but that's definitely what we'll be looking for overnight tonight to see if we can keep this trend going, if we can keep the daily RSI moving up, if we can maybe get to this green line of resistance at around 24,680. That would be the next thing that I would be looking for. Just to finish out on the 15-minute time frame, it looks like we're in the middle of a nice green 15-minute candle that is getting us back over 24,000. So that's the final piece of the puzzle. Bitcoin has reclaimed 24,000. If that can hold overnight, that would be extremely important. So those are all the things that I'm looking for in the next short period of time here, in the next 12 hours, to see what kind of activity we're going to have tomorrow. And then tomorrow's the last day before CPI data. So to me, we've got tomorrow's action, and then we have to see where CPI lands to see what comes next. Because as you guys know, that has been a powerful indicator of where the equity markets and where the cryptocurrency markets have been going. So we're going to hope for good news on Wednesday morning with the CPI. Anything under 9, in my opinion, would be good news. Okay, so that's my update for the day on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. Thanks so much. If you made it this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks again.